Let's start with Jason over in Niagara-on-the-Lake, who's bringing us the closest thing to figgy pudding we'll probably get this Christmas. Although, I like the sound of Jason's recipe better anyways. Sticky toffee pudding. Yes, here's what you need to follow along. Dates, water, unsalted butter, brown sugar, some eggs, flour, baking powder, sugar, 35% cream, and lemon. Now, Jay, before we even get started, can you just remind us North Americans what pudding means? Because what you're making for us today is nothing like the custard that people might be thinking of when they think of pudding.
Well, you know, a pudding, I mean, for me, pudding is just pretty much dessert, but that's a British thing, right? But pudding is usually something it's baked, but it's a lot more richer, a lot more dense, you know, like not like a light cake, but definitely a lot of filling in there. But sticky toffee pudding is a great example because it's really rich and decadent.
Okay, those are all the words I need to hear. I mean, rich and decadent, I'm with you, man. How do we start?
So the first thing you do is you put your butter in here and you want to start to cream it or just soften it up a little bit. Always start with soft butter, but once you've got it to the kind of the point where it's creamed, you're adding in brown sugar. And as you can see here, there's a lot of brown sugar, but it's dessert, right? So you put it in there and then you just basically, you bring that all together. What we're doing is we're kind of breaking down the crystals, making sure that the butter and the sugar is all kind of evenly distributed. While that's happening, we've got to make this beautiful date puree. And that's what people don't realize. Sticky toffee pudding is actually made from dates. So what I do is I take these dates, a little bit of water, and I just bring it up to a simmer and simmer for 5 minutes. It's just enough to soften the dates, still leave a little bit of juiciness from the water in there, and then you puree it and you end up with an amazing flavorful filling like that. You know, at that point, you just take your sugar that started to kind of soften up a little bit here. Now, of course, it's a little cold where I am right now, but we break it down. I feel like I'm in the Arctic of Niagara, you know. And all you do is just add in your puree, and then you start to add in your eggs as well, you know. And it's just bringing that base together.
You know, most of us, Jay, will be making our pudding indoors. We won't be seeing the mist come off the dew from the lawn and the winery behind you. But I love the fact that we're still able to get through all of these baking and cooking segments outside. It's for the safety of our crews. It's for the safety of you. We want to make sure we're doing the recipes but keeping safe. So what's your next step?
Well, you know, it makes it kind of fun, right? Like, I mean, you know, I'm not going to tell everybody at home, you know, for an adventure, go bake outside, you know. But hey, you know, you could try it. No, but it's not bad. I mean, we're actually at our grill here in the winery, and you know, it just gives us an opportunity to keep things going. But as you can see, so the puree is in, and now we're just going to add our eggs. And it's just adding it in and really mixing it. At this point, you don't have to be too picky. It's when you add the flour that you want to be a little softer, you know. So I'm going to move all this out of the way. And you can see already what I've got is a pretty simple mixture. You know, it just looks like basically dates, egg, and butter right now. But this is where you start to fold in your actual flour. And what I've got here is just regular flour and a baking powder that I've already sieved. And this is really important to sieve it because it really makes sure there's no lumps in there. And then you're just going to kind of put a little bit in to start, and you just fold it, you know, like this. And the idea with this is it's, you know, you don't want to beat it down too much. You want to keep some lightness to it, right? But because it's kind of like making a cake really, but with all that heavy puree in there. Just put the rest in. And then you would just gently fold that. Now, I mean, I'm gonna, you know, obviously gonna do this, not do this in real time, but basically what you would do is you'd mix all this up, and then you take a nice little loaf pan like this, and you actually just line it with a little bit of butter and flour, and you put it in it, and you're ready to bake. You know, that's how easy it is. But the sauce is what I want to show you as well, because the sauce really kind of brings its life. Sticky toffee pudding is kind of a rich dessert, but it gets a little bit dense sometimes, so you need that brightness. So butter. And all you do is you would add sugar in here. You would just bring this to a little bit of a heat. And this is kind of a butterscotch sauce. But what you do is you would boil this till it starts to brown. Once it's browned, you add in some 35% cream, a little bit of lemon juice, and look what you end up with. Ooh. That is beautiful, beautiful. Like it's like a butterscotch sauce, right? And then you end up with, you bake your sticky toffee pudding, a nice big loaf like this, and then if you're actually doing this at home, you can bake them in advance because sticky toffee pudding heats up really well in the microwave. So you can warm it up, ready to serve, and then with your hot sauce, you would just drizzle that right over top. Oh, you know, and that's, you got the crunch of the sticky toffee pudding, the richness of the nice like butterscotch sauce, and then I would just drizzle it with some nice little lemon zest on top, and that is Christmas right there.
It is, or it's breakfast, because that's what I would do. Jason, that looks so good. Now, I know you're going to be back a little bit later with a traditional Christmas pudding. I'm looking forward to that. Stay warm out there.